Hey folks, and welcome to the Salty Seaman Tales from the Fleet. It has been a long time since I did one of these. I was just kind of remembered today. It's like, oh wow, I really should go back and do that. I was thinking about some stuff from around this era. I went online. I went online looking for to my page and trying to figure out where I left off, because I really don't want to repeat myself. Ended up finding someone had actually made a playlist for all these. Andrew Ryan, thank you very much. I will, as you said on the playlist, I will go do this on my own channel coming up here pretty soon. But thank you. I'm glad obviously someone, at least one person, is very, very much enjoying it, and the rest of you also who are enjoying these, thank you too. I really do appreciate you listening to me, and a lot of this is just me trying to get this down for posterity's sake, as well as entertain and inform. So it looks like where I last left off, I talked about the trip to Russia in '96. Then I skipped ahead to my cranking. So I'm going to go back here and fill in the gaps from my first. It wasn't a deployment, but it was an exercise. Ulchi focus lens. And other surrounding ports, and then the follow-on import period, the fall and early winter of 1996. Now we got back from Russia. I believe I discussed the ship had just gone to this policy of E3 and below midnight liberty in foreign ports. So we were all approaching this deployment with trepidation. For especially us juniors, E3 and below, I'm brand new to it, but the seething anger about the whole thing, going from basically being allowed to be an adult, you're over 18, while you can't be your brother's keeper, and you try to keep people out of trouble. People get in trouble, that's kind of on them, and you always understand. Yes, international incidents happen. It makes us look bad, but punishing everyone for the actions of a few just to prevent a few incidents seems always felt draconian and kind of mean. I don't like it either when people get out of line, but it's the price of doing business, I think. And you gotta let sailors be sailors, and for the most part it's all clean, good fun, and just punish, just lay the hammer down on those that fuck it up for everybody else, I say. But so yeah, we're going into this, and all I know about it is from everyone else, because again, I'm brand new. I've been on board since March. By summertime, I think I know how the ship works, and I don't. I'm still a hopelessly lost boot, and but I'm trying to. I'm basically kind of faking it. I'm kind of like pretending I'm more than what I am at this point. And it's a lot of I'm starting to hang around these guys I really looked up to. It was fellow seamen, some third classes, but they had time. They had the time. They had the salt. They've been in a whole year and a half, sometimes 2 years longer than me, and they seemed wise and worldly. And I still felt like a kid in high school. I felt like I was faking being an adult anyway. So these are the guys I looked up to, admired, tried to emulate, so their anger became my anger. Maybe I wouldn't have had so much animosity towards the policy, because I basically walked into it, if I wasn't constantly hearing this, talk about, just how unfair it was, and, how it ruins, like, the only good part about being on the ship, which is the liberty ports for a lot of people. And and I still agree with it to this day. But I think I could have handled it better. But it's part of being an immature 19-year-old. So the start, basically, the Ulchi focus lens is they still do it. They've changed the name. I forget what it is now. It used to be called Ulchi focus lens, and it was a yearly joint exercise between South Korea and American forces. Basically, preparation for when North Korea ever sets off. One of many that go on in the 7th Fleet in the Pacific area. And, it just wasn't a lot of fun. Korea just was never, of all the, basically Blue Ridge is just spoiled, especially if it's your first ship. because it goes so many cool places. And when you're junior, you tend to, at the time, just kind of get stuck in this mindset of just everything else that sucks about your job and being on a ship. And you know, the port doesn't live up to your standards because your ship goes to 30 of them a friggin' year. I'm not exaggerating by much, by the way. Yeah, you get picky about them, and Korea just wasn't fun, at least not where we pulled in, and as I learned, we just weren't doing Busan right. But yeah, this is my first major underway. You know, I'm starting to bond and click with a lot of people. My friend, go back to some of the Tales of the Fleet, Brett Bockhorst, still my best friend to this day. Me and him were becoming, after a rough start, we really didn't like each other at first. And, he has his own picadillos in life, and, he was just kind of a jerk to me originally, but, we just had a lot in common. Once he moved out of the deck office, the deck yeoman came to work in my office, which is a little bit before this started. We started realizing we had so much in common. We were both big Mystery Science Theater fans, and, we had the same taste in humor. We were both big comic book guys, and we both played, RPGs, Dungeons and Dragons. We were nerds, but I always felt a little better than the average nerd. We were guys who, we went out to the bars, we chased women, we did manly stuff. But on the side, we'll play some Werewolf the Apocalypse. We'll talk some Captain America. We'll read some Forgotten Realms novels. So like it was a perfect fit, and there were other friends around us. My friend Jay, my friend Adam, Mike, all these became my boys. We had like just kind of a core group of, and the other people come in and out, but we just had this nice core group of friendship. And we hung out with some other people. Bill Hannerhan, great guy. At the time, I think he was PN2 Circle. I think he made PN1 Circle already. He was like the most senior of us. I think he just made first, and he was, we never saw him in port because he had a wife and kid, and we saw Bill did too, but Bill's wife was from Misawa, I think, so she would leave often and go visit home. Bill's ex-wife now, and yeah, we would party in his townhome on base. He was a lot of fun. Pat, that never happened, but a Pat on deployment was a different story. And for whatever reason, Ulchi Focus Lind, which is like usually the most dull part of the year, for some reason he always just seemed to just relish being the drunk, crazy party guy, and like the worst place to do it, as far as I was concerned, as far as everyone else was concerned. Still hanging out with Jackie on occasion. We had some wild times, out just in Yokosuka. I don't know if I've talked about them before. I'd really have to go back and listen about some of the crap we did. If anyone remembers any stories I told about hanging out with a guy named Jackie and crazy stuff in Yokosuka, put in the comments before I go searching through all my audio archives there. But leave that alone for now. But we're heading out, and before we go, we do a couple port visits because that's just what the Blue Rigs did. We go out with the it's the Admiral's flagship. We go out and we got to show the flag, and first is a couple stops in Japan. We go to Hokkaido, which also hosts the city of Sapporo, where they make the Sapporo beer, if you've ever seen it. And at the time, they were doing the Sapporo Beer Festival, so I still got pictures from that. But it was a great time. I mean, I really enjoyed it. Even the minute everything wasn't bothering me. It was, it was one of those times where a lot of times you can't see the forest from the trees, and you might waste port visits just sitting in bars and trying to hook up some tail, and you don't really enjoy the country. And this was one of those port visits where despite the Midnight Liberty restriction, I was really enjoying it. And I was still new to Japan. I'm used to Tokyo, and this is a little more country, a little different. And I kind of really took it in, enjoyed the beer fest, hung out with friends. It was a fun time. Next we went to Sasebo, which is definitely different. And there's definitely two thoughts on Sasebo. If you're a stateside sailor and you're on deployment to the Western Pacific, you get word you're pulling in Japan, you're pulling into Sasebo, you don't know the difference of any of these places. And it's your first time in Japan, and people, it always blew my mind on my other two ships. and like talk about like, hey, we're pulling in Sasser, Japan. These guys would just go nuts. It's like, oh man, going to Japan, blah blah blah. I'm like, this thing, I mean, it's Sasebo. It's just, you know, coming from Yokosuka, it was like, Sasebo was a very similar base. It's not too, it's on another island down south, but it's like, you know, it's right there. You know, the town outside of the base is damn near similar to Yokosuka. You know, they have a little sailor town, so they called it the bar area. You know, the base is a little nice. You know, in some ways was nicer than ours. It was a little smaller and lacked some things, but you know, their base club was amazing. But yeah, we just looked at it. It was like Yokosuka light, and it was just like it's like this is nothing we don't already see. This is just another Navy town in Japan. So we never look forward to Sasebo. We went once or twice a year, and it was just like, fucking Sasebo. Alright, shit. You know, I remember one time me and my friend Gordon Lee and Aaron Quinlan, really an OSSN and a QMSN respectively, if I recall correctly. Quinlan might have been an OS. I don't know. For some reason I think it was QM. Anyway. And yeah, Quinlan was having a really hard time with the liberty restrictions, and we get back to base and it's like past 11:30, and he just wants to, hey, let's go run around the shipyards. I'm like, oh, okay, we're close to the ship. I was like, okay, whatever. And he just starts ranting and raving and just doing crazy shit. You know, just drunk. Obviously, we'd all been drinking, but I mean, he was, you know, having one of those episodes, and it was just like starting to get to like 11:50, and we're like, Aaron, dude, we gotta fucking go. You know, it's like, it's 11:50 and it's probably about an 8-minute walk to this ship. And I don't know how me and Gordon got him out of there, but, you know, eventually we got the ship back with like, you know, a minute to fucking spare. And, you know, there will never be my first close call or over call, but we'll get to that till we get to next year's, my first real deployment. But then, you know, going on from that, you know, and internally we had, I talked about Wine Lee as our boss. We never liked her. She's kind of a bitch. In retrospect, she wasn't that bad, but at the time we didn't like her. She definitely has her issues. And my friend Azalea still harbors hate for her. So it tells you kind of woman she was. But she had to get surgery, so she did not make it. So they brought in a Wine from the base. He was a really cool dude. We loved him. We were just like, please stay. Just have switch places with her, please. Just he was great. Great to work with, and you know, he was the defender of me, like Wine 2 Tate was. You know, I was a scatterbrained young kid, and like, you know, I fucked up. You know, I think a lot of junior guys fuck up. You know, mine was, you know, just in small ways, but enough to just like, you know, it's just like you can't rely on me. It was just so much inconsistency. You know, like I was behind on my quals. You know, this stuff. You know, you junior guys listen to this. It's like, yeah, you go into the ship and you get a lot of shit thrown at you. It's like, hey, you got to get messenger to watch qualified. You got to get basic damage control qualified. You got to get a maintenance man qualified. You know, and if depending on your shop, you got a bunch of other little things you got to do. And you know, compared to some other people, you know, yeah, I got to, and also you got to learn the ways of your shop and all the different projects. So being a yeoman, there's all the different aspects of the office I need to know how to do. Even if it's not my primary job, I need to know in a pinch. And you get thrown here and there. So I'm trying to learn all that. You know, I'm basically blowing my quals off. It's like I got them like halfway signed off, and a lot of that was from NDOC. And it's just like, yeah, end of the day, I was just like, I'm gone. And on duty days, it's like occasionally everyone's like, I should try to get some signatures or whatever. But yeah, I ended up being, you know, Dink and 3M. It's a little bit after this exercise, but yeah, I mean, that's where I was going, and you know, I would do little things that would just, you know, just be little fuck ups, you know, like show up at the wrong place for GQ, and then instead of like going to find it immediately, I decided like, oh, I'll figure out where it is. Let me go have a smoke. And I walk into, you know, found out like, oh yeah, you guys don't go here for this kind of GQ. You go here, and no one told me. And I show up and like, you know, Wine 2 Tate's standing there, and he's like, where the fuck were you been? Where the fuck have you been? And he's like, yeah, I went to Repair 7 or Repair 5, whatever it was. And he's like, no, we go to DC Central. But before the only GQ I knew was where we basically, like DC Central used to evacuate to Repair 7 or Repair 5, whichever it was, during a major fuel oil leak, Class Bravo engine fire, because we were right above it. They eventually changed that, but yeah, for regular GQ, we were doing them in port just for training purposes. Yeah, just go to DC Central. I'd never been there, never knew it. I mean, I've been to DC Central, but not in that way. And no one just fucking told me. So, but I walk in and I'm like, okay, and I go sit down and get my headset on. I was a phone talker, and yeah, taste smell cigarette. I'm like, did you go for a smoke? I'm like, yeah, I walked around to know what I was doing, so I went outside for a smoke, which unacceptable. It's like, taking not going to your place of appointed duty and decided to go for a smoke is not a good idea. Something I look at now, as a guy who's did 20 and was in that position Tate was in, and I'm like yeah, no, that's a poor fucking excuse. Even if you were lost, you don't just take a 5-minute break to go smoke. So that was my first counseling shit. But otherwise, I did a lot of good work. I was fast. I was smart. I could do my job well, and I'm a likable guy. Got me through a lot in life, to be honest. But yeah, he was a big supporter of me. Like, and Tate, even though for that, he's doing his job, but he a lot of people were very shaky on me, especially higher up. And those were 2 people I remember. I don't remember the name of the one. I'm sorry. I wish I did. 2 guys who stuck up for me. We just got the new warrant officer. I talked about the Ensign Nichols, the guy before he got involved in the incident on the beach in Guam. So he was gone. Senior Chief Custodio, then became Master Chief Custodio, was acting Ship Sec. He finally is relieved, and we bring in Warrant Officer Hayes. And Warrant Officer Hayes is definitely an interesting cat. He was half Filipino, half white. His dad was product of a Navy sailor in the PI. His dad, was stationed there, married a local. He actually ended up growing up between the Philippines and San Diego as a Navy brat. He went yeoman on a submarine. That's where he spent most of his career, and he made warrant. He picked up warrant, and there's no warrant officers, yeoman, admin warrants on submarines, so he had to go to surface. He was on the carrier next to us, the USS Independence, the Indy. And he, as one of the administrative officers there, and he got called over, fast billet change, emergency billet fill, basically. He went over to Blue Ridge to finish out his sea time. So and he didn't have the immediately best impression of me. I honestly think he got me confused with Krantz, dude that worked. I think I talked about it before. And Anthony, I love you, but you're dumb. And he's saying this guy's just I don't think you can trust him to do anything but staple paper. And I'm like, that new Y1 came in and said that, and I was like, what the fuck? I mean, maybe I ain't the greatest shit hot fucking lioness in here, but Jesus Christ, I'm not that fucking stupid. And he's like, yeah, I don't know where, dude, you're fine. I think you're really good. I think you get a bad rep. I definitely don't think you're anything this. And I just kind of figured out maybe just see short, white, brown-haired dudes all look the same to him. I don't know. I believe Krantz had blue eyes, and he was also really muscular all the time. I was pretty skinny, so I don't know. But regardless, I go through all that, and it's just I'm feeling this heat of this, just like, God damn, we can't go out and have fun. We can't go out and drink. We can't go out and chase tail. Not that we didn't Chin-hae anyway. Chin-hae was an army base. We pull into, and there was a base club, and they served a nice cheeseburger, but that's pretty much where everyone went. It was like the town was dead. They didn't like Americans, as far as we could tell. We never saw anybody on the base. We almost, except for the guards, we never saw where the army guys were, the soldiers. We never saw their families. It was it was a base that allowed family members. We never saw anybody. It was creepy, kind of. And the other place was Don's Greenhouse, which is a whorehouse out in town. And there was always rumors like it burnt. Every year we went, it was like rumors that Don is burned down. But I mean, that was it. I mean, that's where you went. So we pull in, and I think first night all I did was a bunch of us went to the base club, and we just got fucking hammered. And it was like one of those early days in my career. I was just like, you know, I'm hanging out with people up to E5s here. You know, all the people from admin. This is where I was really starting to bond with everybody, and just, you know, apparently at one point I got pretty lit, and like a song I liked came on in the club, and I said it wasn't like dancing with anybody special. It was like, it was really just other people from the ship. That's all it was in the base club. And I went out there and danced, and I'm a fucking horrible dancer, but when I'm in the mood, boy, do I think I have moves. And yeah, speaking of Y2 Tate, I believe he saw me and mentioned it like after we got underway. Next time we saw each other in the office or whatever getting underway, he was like, "Yeah, I saw you out there with them dance moves, Owens. You're really moving on." And he like did an imitation of me, you know, like, good lord, I must have been the biggest fucking dork on earth. It was so fun. It was so, even though he was fucking, you know, busting my balls, I had to laugh because it was so fucking funny. I was like, you know, in these days it would have been on cell phone video, and too bad we didn't have him back then. I would have loved to see him do that whatever that fucking dance I was doing. So the next night I went out with Mike. I don't know who else was with us initially, but at some point Mike says like he's gonna bust my my prostitute Sherry. So of course I'm thinking Donna's Greenhouse. That's what everyone's talking about. It's a whorehouse. They got a bunch of hot Korean women, and you go fuck them. And you know, on this point in my life, it's, you know, I'm not saying I'm like proud of it. You know, it's like you kind of understand what the sex industry is the older you get, and it's kind of like, eh. By the time, you know, it's like, hey, you're making a transaction. It's a business deal. You want to get off. They want to get paid. Hey, everyone's happy, right? But no, Mike, being the cheapskate he was, he took me to the discount place next to Donna's. I think we walked into Donna's, and it was just like too many dudes and not enough girls, and he was like, fuck this. And he knew about the place next door. It was this old fucking woman sitting there playing some fucking tarot card game. And I'm like, and I go, hey, yeah, I'm here to fuck you. And hand her money and shit. And it was a very unsatisfying experience. She just got on top and rode me condom on. You know, I got off after a couple of minutes. She seemed fucking bored of the whole thing and couldn't wait to get me out of here, so she go back to playing your tarot cards. And I was like, oh god. And then I went outside. I went to Donna's, and Mike went in, and he came out all happy. He's like, yeah, it was great. I'm like, okay. I'm like, that's what prostitution is. I don't know if I'm really interested in this shit. Well, we'll see about that, right? So anyway, yeah, that's my memories of Chin-hae. You know, it was pretty much what everyone told me was, and it was, you know, again, the Midnight Liberty thing was just, it's just a fucking, it's like a cancer in your brain. It's like you just keep, all you do is you know, after 10 o'clock you just start, hopefully, actually, but unfortunately, you just start watching your watch, or your, you know, nowadays it'd be probably your cell phone, or, you know, whatever. But yeah, back then it was just like, you know, god damn it. You know, okay, it's like, oh, it's 11 o'clock. Okay, we got time. It's like, but you got to keep 11:15. Okay, 11:30. Oh, 11:30. All right, we got to wrap it up. Like shit, and hopefully get a cab, and hopefully, you know, it's just like dread. It's like if you go out that late, it's like, oh, you hope everything works out. You get the cab and you get on base, and like nothing happens. So we go out, and by the way, we got like a boatload of people on. We got Marines on board. We got Korean Marines on board. We got Korean Navy on board. Other countries, I think, and it's a madhouse, and we're trying to do this exercise, and at the same time we're trying to like get all our quals done, because literally there's so little time actually in the ocean, because, you know, like I always said, people gave us a bad rep that we never left Yokosuka. No, we left Yokosuka 6 months out of the year, but we just didn't sit in the ocean very long. We were going port to port to port. That usually requires us to do all of our quals to keep our ship functional, operational, and clear to, the Navy says you are capable of doing your mission. Is we gotta stick all that shit in like 3-4 days at a pop. So like underways were always stressful, and this is a bit of a longer underway between Chin-hae and Busan than what we normally do. But at the same time, it's like all this craziness going on, all these exercises, and we're also trying to get these quals done. We're doing all these GQs. We got like a million flight quarters going on. You know, it was always a tense the underways and the Blue Ridge are always kind of very tense. So then bad news comes down. We're going to Busan, and our admiral was not in charge of the exercise. It was a army general out of South Korea, and he made the edict during the exercise there's going to be no drinking Monday through Friday. So during the exercise, like, there's none of the military were allowed to drink. Even it was like it was aimed at his soldiers, but yeah, it basically it was a blanket policy. So we just, you talk about adding insult to injury. Yeah, we were just out in town, just had to do that every night. We're drinking fucking Pepsis, and I think I was with, and I know I ended up with Mike again, and I finally got I tried the prostitute thing again. That one went a lot better. She was a nice gal. It was a fun time. Again, don't recommend anyone do it. It's what you did. It was, it was part of life, but it was miserable. It was just like, what the fuck are we doing? Sitting here like fucking children. Have to be back by curfew. Have to, can't sip anything stronger than a Pepsi. And it was, that was just, all this just kind of built, and then it just, work was stressful even without wine and one there, and we're trying, it was still just everything was just very stressful at work. Town wasn't fun. All these motherfuckers on the ship, and we were just like, got through it, and we were just like, oh god. And then we also pulled it into Chin-hae for like half a day on the way back. I got off for like a beer and a cheeseburger. The Chin-hae cheeseburger, very famous. So we go back, and we are just tense. I guess the best way to describe it. We pulled this like all together. It was like 6 weeks, maybe a little less, and we, late. It was like, no, that was in August. It was like September. We pulled back in Yokosuka, and it's one of those fortuitous duty days that like almost none of us that in our clique, our little group, like had duty for whatever reason. Like, I just remember there just being a shit ton of us, and we left 8, like, ship pulled in like 8 o'clock, and we were off the ship by 8:30. And of course, me and my group just fucking ran. It was like, as soon as they moored ship's colors, and as soon as like we were allowed to go, we were down the berthing, showering, got changed. And what we want to do, we want to go fucking get blitzed. We're just in a fucking mood. We want to blow off the steam. We have no, like, I didn't have duty the next day. Some of them did. They didn't care. I didn't have duty the next day. I had to work the day after that, I think it is. Because listen to the story, you'll understand like why it was pretty close where we had to come back to work, but I think we had the next day off. But so we walked over to Seaside. Seaside was it's now a Chili's. Fortunately, I didn't get to base when I just visited Japan. Just visited Yokosuka recently. I wanted to see that, but it used to be a sports bar and restaurant on the back side of the base near the seaside. But their bar, we got there, like, they didn't open until like 11. I think we ended up, all said and done, like, they went to the exchange or something first, and we fucked around trying to kill time. We ended up there like 10:30, but but we picked up some Heineken and some like deli sandwiches out of like like this little mini mart next door to the Seaside, and we were just sitting there on the curb. It was definitely Mike, Adam, Jay, and Bach, at least. And I was sitting there just drinking on 6 packs of Heineken and eating cold deli sandwiches. When they popped the door open, we all walked in and went to the sports bar. And it was a moment to remember, just getting fucking just blitzed out of your mind, just trying to, all that drama. I mean, I think looking back, a lot of it's just self-inflicted. We were just, I definitely hadn't learned how to go with the flow, and just like, sometimes it's the military. Sometimes you just gotta suck it up and take it. Just get defensive, and hatred just builds up in you. And so we were just in there, and just getting blitzed, getting drunk. You know, it couldn't have been more than 3 p.m. You know, and then the incident happens. So, and I end up, you know, me and Brett probably drunk as stunk. I think we probably told a version of this on when he was on, but you know, I'm going to retell it anyway for the purposes of continuity. Something happens, and like I can't remember what set it off, but it was just like, you know, probably just so immature and a habit, you know, occasionally back then I would like have some false bravado. I think it was me trying to prove myself, probably. Just get this false bravado, and like, you know, I don't know what me and Brett got into it about, but I pissed him off enough that he said, "You take this outside?" I said, "Yeah." He was like, "Oh, okay, shit." So we went outside. So we're in there standing right outside there's like a big sliding glass door out the back side of the bar. Like everyone can see, like it's all glass, a whole wall, not just the door. Like everyone can see everything. It's seaside. You want to see the sea? And he's like, "What's your fucking problem?" Like, he don't let me finish the sentence. I just fucking clock him. It's just a good left across the jaw, and it's just he staggers and looks back and is like, "Fuck you!" And he just fucking throws a right. He's a righty, I'm a lefty. And we just just rock 'em, sock 'em, robots, just boom. You know, if you're an MMA fan, you ever seen Fry Takayama? It was that, but not quite the hockey head pulls, but yeah, just trading punches, no defense. Neither one of us at the time knew how to throw a punch. I doubt Brett still does. I learned somewhat, but at the time, no. It was just slugging each other in the face. His arm punches weren't doing a whole lot of damage, but we're annoying the shit out of each other. And eventually, of course, it goes to a wrestling match. He ends up on top of me. I'm like grabbing on his shirt, and I'm trying to pull him off of me. And he's wearing this Spinal Tap concert shirt. He was very proud of. He got back in high school, and Spinal Tap came through town. He's like, "Hey, don't mess with my Spinal Tap shirt." And I'm like, "Fair enough." Yeah, I let go. We roll around a little bit more, and like, I get on top of him, and then he flips me back, and then we both stand up, and he starts yelling at me. He's like, "You know what your problem is, you fucking boot? You're so fucking stupid, blah, 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 you know, shit, blah, blah, blah." But thanks a lot, man, I really needed that. And I just like melted. I was like, "Yeah, me too." And we just fucking hugged, and we laughed, and arm in arm we walked back into Seaside. Now, we don't realize we've developed an audience. That is the entire bar. The fact that security wasn't called is amazing. I think everyone was just waiting to see what the fuck it was going to play out. But yeah, we walk in and everyone's just staring at us like, "What the fuck was that?" And it was just some very drunken, dumb bravado, smashing male shit. But it was needed. Like it burned. We were so relieved of stress. And it just enjoying. It actually made my day better. Unfortunately, yeah, we weren't without marks. He had a gold ring with a B on it. You know, Brett Bockhorst. He fucking tagged me right in the middle of the forehead, and I had a fucking imprint. And he already has a big nose anyway, and I fucking tagged him a couple times, and his nose made it even bigger. I know whenever we came back into work, Tate was like, "What the fuck happened to you guys?" Like, "Oh, we fell together." Yeah. Just rolled his eyes, like, "All right." And I guess if he didn't get a security report on it, he don't fucking need to know about it. Smart man. Not too long after that, I almost got in a fight with Mike, also, so I was on a fucking roll this night, apparently. But it was a funny joke, and you'll understand why, and why the fight didn't happen here in a sec. So, talking to Mike, Mike was standing up, and he turned around and he was talking to him. I think buddy Chris Bush was there, Jay, and I don't know who else, and he started talking to them. And I see him starting to lean back to sit on his bar stool. So, as he's on perfect timing, and amazing I could do it with as much alcohol I had in the time. Like, yeah, as soon as he's fucking putting his butt cheeks on that seat, I fucking grab the stool, and he fucking lands flat on his ass on the floor. Everyone fucking breaks up laughing. Mike gets up, furious. He wants to fight me now. He's pissed off. He starts yelling. I cut him off. I'm like, motherfucker, you just did this to Brett 2 days ago. This is absolutely true. In the berthing about 2 days ago, about the day before we pulled in, we're all in the berthing watching TV. And remember, everyone here is also admin. They were all there that night. They all saw it. So he did the same thing, pulled Brett's chair out from under him. Brett's ass hit the fucking floor, the deck. Brett was mad. Mike was just like, come on, it's a joke. Get over it. As soon as I said that, like, everyone just turns on Mike. He's like, yeah, you fucking, you know, you hypocritical motherfucker. He's like, well, that was different. That wasn't the shit. This is a bar. And then more people just start, I mean, he just gets booed down. And he just eventually just sits down and just sulks. But he got over it, and we just, you know, I said, hey, I'm sorry. I was just fucking around. I was like, yeah, all right. And just, you know, call me a bad moment. I'm like, all right. So, yeah, and then that night just went to debauchery. I think we finished by 11. It was like, couldn't even, like, no, we can't. It was just, I think we ended up in Popeyes out in the haunch, like 11 o'clock, like at 11 o'clock, 11:30, whatever. And I was just like, I just had a 1,000-yard stare. I just had so much fun. I've just been drinking for so long, and you know, just it was just a shock to my system. And I, you know, I wasn't sick or anything, surprisingly. You know, such a, you know, a newbie to the, you know, that lifestyle at that point. But I do believe that was the night, the famous story. We were, I think it ended up being me, Bill, and Brett, probably Mike. I believe it was Popeyes. You know, like some drunk dudes from another ship started talking to Brett about motorcycles. Now, Brett's not a writer or anything, but he's, you know, he admires and he really likes, you know, Harley Davidson. So it's just, you know, not a writer, but he likes looking at them. He thinks they're cool. And I do too. I think they're cool. They're cool bikes. You know, maybe not the most efficient in terms in the bike world, but I mean, the Harley's the Harley. So, but the other guy was completely, you know, just he was like a bike racer, speed guy. You know, he was a rice burner, and he was like extolling the virtues of like a Honda or something to Brett. He was like, yeah, I get all that, but I mean, I want to, you know, it's like if I'm going to ride a bike, I'm going to ride a bike for style. I don't really care about speed. It's like, no, man, you don't ride a bike for style. You ride a bike for speed. And he's like, no, I wouldn't. And he's like, yes, you would. And he's just like, why am I talking to this idiot? And just walks away. Just like walks away from in the middle of the conversation. And I remember me and Bill just like started cracking up laughing. It's so fucking funny. But yeah, that was. I think it's going on 40 minutes here. I think I'll wrap up here. I'll do the rest of the fall 96 import rehabilitation period coming up. See how long that one goes. See if I'll wrap that one maybe into Hong Kong. Because that's definitely an interesting bit, and that'll be. I think I talked about. Yeah, I believe I did. I did talk about that on the FSA one. You know how I ended up, but regardless, yeah, I'll cut this off here. My first like long import period after I've had a minute was a big turning point in my my young adult life. So I look forward to talking about the next part as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed listening to this. Do enjoy making these. Sorry it's been so long for those of you who really like these. And that's all I got for now. Catch you freaks later. Peace.